and welcome to episode... Wait, what? Is this episode 200? Hello, and welcome to episode 200, all about Shadow of Mordor, being the 200th part of That's What I'm Talking About. Hello, my name is Mary Clay. If that's too complicated for you, just call me MC. I've been experiencing the world of Tolkien for the first time, and right now I'm doing whatever I want to, including playing Shadow of Mordor, which is a vast difference from the Lego game. Joining me is Christina from so many things.
I was going to say, don't...
But Christina from my heart, first and foremost.
That's what really matters. I do encourage you to say Christina from How Do I Book?
Christina from How Do I Book?
If we're going to brand me with a single podcast, let's make it my career in writing podcast.
Your professional thing?
My professional podcast, yeah.
I'm happy to do that.
Hey, how's it going?
I am pretty much only playing this game because, well, there's two reasons why I'm playing this game. One, I did have some listeners say I would really like to hear your thoughts on the game and see you. I think you would enjoy the plot and everything. But also, you spoke so highly of this game that I was like, okay, I think it's worth giving it a shot.
Oh, do you mean when I said that it's my favorite video game of all time and it's ruined my enjoyment of all other role-playing games?
Now... We're about to discuss a open world fantasy game where there's a broken blade and a magic arm,
and some help from the spirits,
stealth to kill bad guys.
And you have a glider. You can glide from island to island. Oh wait.
Oh wait. So here's the thing about this video game. So I started playing it a couple days before Zelda Tears of the Kingdom came
and that
out.
was your first mistake, was trying to do anything while Tears of the Kingdom has just come out.
I know. Well, it was just it's just the way that the schedule laid out that I was going to be doing Shadow of Mordor.
The schedule you laid out
at this time. Well, I mean, I wanted to do Lego Lord of the Rings first because that seemed like more people were excited about that.
So let me tell you, I actually got let off the hook a little bit. So Shadow of Mordor is a beloved game to me. I also really love its sequel, Shadow of War, which is the exact same game, only slightly different this time. I love them both, kind of can't tell the difference. And I've played Shadow of Mordor through a couple times. And maybe a week ago, in preparation for this recording, I was like, I'm going to start playing it again. Open up my save file. It was at 11%. I was like, cool, I don't have to redo any of the tutorial stuff. And then I started playing for a while. And then it was my real saving grace when it took 3 additional days for my Tears of the Kingdom to arrive in the mail. I was like, well, I'll just keep playing Shadow of Mordor. Because I do love it. But then I got to a point in the main mission where my freaking, my game started glitching and it wouldn't let me progress with the main mission. So I was like, oh, would you look at this? Zelda just came. So I guess maybe I can't play Shadow of Mordor.
Yes.
So I haven't played this in a couple years, except for, I would say 11 through 17% worth of it, which I played last week.
Well, that's more than I asked of you, which I think I just said, can you come on? And that was it. So the fact that you went back and even replayed the beginning of it is
just because it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah. Okay, so this game came out on September 30th, 2014. According to
really
Steam,
almost 10 years ago. It really holds up, I think.
Yeah, according to Steam, the reviews are very positive.
I mean, yeah, play it for 5 seconds and you'll feel it. I'm sorry, I'll stop. I love this game so
I'm trying to host a podcast.
Sorry.
I meant to open with this. I'm 95% sure that this is episode 200.
Oh my god. 95% of 200 is, I think, 190.
180?
That's nonsense.
No, 190.
Math. That's nonsense math. That means nothing.
So should we call this episode 190?
Congrats if it is your 200th episode.
It's either this episode or the episode that comes out after this.
Well, cool. I guess maybe that's great, and maybe it's not at all.
And also, Side note, I meant to ask you if you're available next week to record a bonus episode with me announcing some things.
Da-na-na. Well, I guess I'll have to make myself available, won't I? She says, full of dread at how full her schedule is.
And hey, guess what? Christina and I were able to work out our schedules, and we recorded a bonus episode that will be coming out this Saturday, and it contains a very important announcement. So make sure to keep an eye out for that hitting your podcast feed of choice this weekend. Anyway, cutting all that, where was I? Okay. This game came out in 2014. It received, very positive reviews. It has a 9.3, received a 9.3 from IGN, which is very good, but compared to Tears of the Kingdom, it's no 10.
We can't keep talking about Tears of the Kingdom.
Yes, we can. We can talk about it however long we want. This is handy stats. Apparently, it takes 16 hours to complete the main story, 24 hours to do the story and sides, 33 hours.
That's if you're good at video
everything.
Games. That's if you're good at video games. I've played
I have
this.
Not been good at this.
I literally have spent hundreds of hours in this game.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So it, like I was saying, any other time of my life, I would be very absorbed by this. Yeah. And the days where I didn't have Zelda, I was very absorbed by it. But obviously, like,
dude, I'm reading like six books right now. Like, I understand. I'm like, what on earth am I supposed to do? I can maybe do
3 books at once.
Dude, I am doing this to myself.
That's kind of what like I would say my video game console looks like right now, where I have probably 3 like ongoing games constantly that I'll sometimes just check in on.
Yeah, I feel you. And like so many unfinished games too. Like I never beat Luigi's Mansion. That was too hard and scary, dude.
You'll go back to it one day. See, I did beat The Witcher 3.
Nice.
But there are still like side quests and missions and stuff left that like it drops you back in the world and it's like you can keep playing. But I'm like, it's not the same
Not to be this way. Well, not to be this way, but I tried playing The Witcher 3 for the first time after playing Shadow of Mordor, and I was like, this game is janky as hell compared to Shadow of Mordor. I can't play.
It's the opposite for me.
What? No way. I can't play Assassin's Creed anymore. It's like way too, like, it's not fluid at all to me. That's so funny. Maybe it just has to do with how we're hardwired. We're like I've spent more time in the Shadow of Mordor.
No, I don't think it's about how we're hardwired. I think it's the fact that I am playing a used video game on a PS3.
Oh, you got a 3A. Do those even run anymore? Is that even legal?
It's rough. It's rough.
Where'd you get
I'll tell you what.
You should come over. Wait, just kidding. I forgot my game has a glitch.
Well, I just spent $160 on Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. No, not because the game costs that much money. I bought it in person because I couldn't wait for my pre-order to come, and I
bought it 3 times.
And I have I didn't buy it 3 times. I was worried that when I did the check out online for in-store pickup, and then I wasn't getting an order confirmation, and then I was like, oh shoot, that's right, it might take a while for me to get this, and I was like, maybe I'll just go to Target and see if it's just on the shelf if I don't get the confirmation. But I did get the confirmation anyway. Okay, Shadow of Mordor.
Oh my god, but I
have been enjoying it.
I finally got off Tutorial Island and I want to go play Zelda. I spent way too much time on that.
Oh, it also won. I think I saw that it won Game of the Year when it came out.
I'm not surprised at
all. It also won Best Action Game and Most Innovative Game.
Dude,
so that's all cool.
Tell me when you want me to start ranting about why it's so great, because there's truly so many things about Shadow of Mordor that make it, I think, innovative.
Okay,
I love hearing that it has that award.
Let me set it up.
Yeah, because I can't follow the plot, so you tell me that.
Granted, I've only been introduced to the plot. I don't know where it's necessarily going.
Well, it's it starts with Aragorn's twin.
Honestly, yeah. So
Italian.
It opens with this ranger dude, and it's is this Aragorn?
It's literally Aragorn.
It's Aragorn.
They didn't even give him a different haircut, different outfit.
It's
Aragorn.
Except for he is so buff.
That's
so
exactly
ripped.
what I was gonna say. He's Witcher buff.
Yeah. So that's Let me look this up. I'm pretty sure this one came out first.
I think he's also wearing furs.
No, because the Witcher video games have been around for
that's
a while,
Witcher
right? But anyway,
3
he has he has the Witcher like 2 swords on the back, but it's because one of them is a dagger.
Yeah, I was like, what? Yeah, what?
But it's a broken sword.
Wow.
But like he still has
like
it's the 2 shoulder, like he looks like a Witcher.
But his are both
a lot of this game reminds me of The Witcher.
Okay, so a lot of The Witcher reminds me of bad Shadow of Mordor. This is so funny. Perspective is everything. But Talion wears his 2 blades, both going toward his right hand, whereas Geralt has one for each hand. Which I don't understand.
Oh, that's true.
Is he ambidextrous?
He's ambidextrous, yeah.
I don't.
I'm assuming that's
Witchers.
what the Witcher mutagens?
Sure.
I'm assuming that's what the Witcher genes do to you.
They make you
the
buff
Witcher
hot
4,
and ambidextrous.
I just Google searched.
Is it the
Okay,
Witcher
I'm going to go down that rabbit
4?
hole later. Apparently there's a Witcher 4. Maybe I already knew that it'll be
Wow.
coming out in 20 years.
An emotional roller coaster.
So Shadow of Mordor, yes, we're introduced to this very buff Aragorn. And at first it's like, what timeline is this? Where are we in the time of Middle Earth in relation to like the characters that we know and everything?
I feel like it's unmistakably Middle Earth, though. It's like, I recognize those ruins.
I think it's during the second rise of Sauron, I'll say. So after the battle after the battle where Isildur gets the ring and everything, and so Sauron's technically been defeated, but then he just kind of goes bye-bye, and then he starts slowly building up his like
The Dark Lord rises.
Yes.
Blood will be spilt this night. Wait, I think I just conflated a Harry Potter quote with a Legolas quote. Hold on. Dude, it's
the blood has been spilled.
A red moon rises.
Did I just say a blood moon? Now that's Zelda.
I'm
We are
confused. What's happening?
Oh my gosh.
What's happening?
The blood moon rises once again.
So we're before the War of the Ring, well before the War of the Ring, when, Frodo and Sam go to Mordor.
Still post-apocalypse.
We're in Gondor, or I guess on like the outskirts of Gondor,
Yeah.
and we meet Talion. He is our buff Aragorn.
Honey.
He has a wife who... So her name is the same name as the woman in the Houses of Healing in Gondor that coincidentally I've talked a lot about in recent episodes.
Because of your
which I have been
episode?
pronouncing as Ioreth.
Okay.
But in the video game it's Eoreth.
Yeah, I think that's more of like an old English type of pronunciation is like
Maybe,
the
yeah,
Yorith.
I don't know. No one, I will say this. I'm 200 episodes in and not one person said actually it's Eoreth. So
Oh, it's almost like the women characters don't really get talked about enough.
also, we're not going to talk much longer about this woman.
Well, wow.
Yeah.
If you want to see
And
somebody
we
get
also are
bridged.
introduced to their son. I think it's like Dear Hael or something.
Yeah, whatever.
You go into like a little bit of a tutorial mode, and then all of a sudden it's like flashing back and forth, and he's in this like in between ghost world, and he's seeing
so
the
cool.
dead body of his son and the dead body of his wife, and then he like comes out of it, and it's like flashing back to what happened. So it's kind of like it's very cool, like a very cool way to introduce things and get it going, but also like teaching you the mechanics of like press this button to parry and all this other stuff. And then eventually there's a cut. So orcs are invading. So I think the story is that Talion was exiled. I don't think exiled is the right word, but like he went outside of Gondor to like one of the garrisons or outposts or something to be with his like girlfriend at the time, and that's when that's why they're there, and a bunch of orcs come and attack and kill everyone, and then they kill the wife and son, and then for some reason that maybe will be made clear later on in the game.
And I really don't remember.
Enact some kind of a spell or something over Talion, and they kill him, but also it binds him to a wraith.
Yeah.
Right? So he can't really die.
That does become clear what their motivation is. I mean, Talion has no motivation. Talion's like, what the hell? And then the Bright Lord, as Gollum calls him, Bright Master. Yeah, he's like, you belong to me. And he, like, just a white dude, just Aragorn 2.0 roaming across Middle-earth. Boo. No, I don't care. But binded in body and soul to, like, a wraith? That's so cool.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Also, I think this is something that you're supposed to learn later on, because at first the wraith is like, I don't remember who I am. And
it's like every cutscene gives him a little bit more memory.
Yeah, there's like visions you can uncover and stuff that give you clues as to who he is. But in reading like the first 3 sentences of the Wikipedia entry for this, this is the Wraith of Celebrimbor, which is... I'm assuming it's like the Celebrimbor and not just like another elf also named Celebrimbor, which Tolkien does.
There's a cutscene where he's like, "Oh, I made the rings.
I did it." No. But that is so cool. So to catch listeners up or remind people who Celebrimbor is and like what happens to him. And also, I don't know, potential spoilers if you really care about it for Rings of Power. But he oversees the creation of the rings, and then he has one of the elven rings, and Sauron like kidnaps him and tortures him.
Yeah, it's not good.
I can totally see how like in that manner of dying at the hand of like such darkness that like he would be turned into this wraith.
He's like still bound to his mortal plane because he has deeply unfinished business.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
So and then you're kind of dropped into Mordor, and you just have the general story is that you're going to find the Black Hand, who is the servant of like the right hand, the red hand, the white hand,
right? Yep.
The Black Hand of Sauron, and find him and defeat him so that you can like undo this curse and I guess go on to be with your wife and son in the afterlife. And yeah,
but there's a sequel game, so I don't really remember, but I guess he doesn't do that.
I don't know what the sequel's about.
The sequel's about this same dude.
I've heard famously about Shelob in Shadow of War, that she's like a hot anthropomorphized version of a spider.
What if this woman was super sexy? Could you believe it? What if she was nothing but boobs and sass? No, she is really hot though. She's like very gothic.
Well, they can't have too serious of a female character.
No, she is. In this world, she's very cool, and I don't love. You could probably tell by my tone. I don't love. What if we made the one female monster sexy? Like I don't love that, but I do love.
I think that's great.
I do love like
more power to her.
Yeah, like she definitely uses it, and
I'm gonna make a Barbie poster with.
Is it
Shelob?
Is it the SpongeBob movie? No, wait. What is it? The SpongeBob movie where it's like
there's
a little person
it's
like
a monster
dancing,
and like
but it's like his
antlers like a old lady dressed up or something. And why do we both have that memory?
Because I watched the SpongeBob movie a lot.
It looks like she looks like Yennefer.
She does look exactly like Yennefer, only like
she looks exactly like Yennefer.
I gotta be honest, Yennefer from the TV show, so much incredibly hotter. She's fuller. She's just better.
Obviously a real life person is gonna be hotter
I think Shelob's a white lady. I don't think Yennefer is a white lady. I don't actually know, but to me, Shelob is
Yennefer's technically half elven,
as pale as death. Oh my god! I'm like, what ethnicity is the actress who plays Yennefer?
No, I don't actually. No, you're right. She might be like Armenian or something like that. I can't remember. They're all British. I know that.
Yeah,
they all have British accents.
Yeah, she's Indian. She has Indian heritage.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what the plot of Shadow of War is. If like the goal of this game is to free what's his name, Talion from this, curse.
Yeah.
Because then it implies that, like, it didn't work. And that's very depressing.
I couldn't tell you, dude. Like, I have no idea. Maybe, like, at the end. Maybe at the end, Celebrimbor and Talion are like, but we're better together. Like, I genuinely don't remember.
Also, here to report that you can get Shadow of Mordor online. Right now, it's on sale for $5.
Oh, hell yeah.
I think it's for the PlayStation. If you go to, like, PlayStation.com and look up Shadow of Mordor, you can get it for $5. So I would say that's a good investment.
Wow, that's
maybe
crazy.
After you finish Zelda. It's a good investment. So and then you're dropped into Mordor and you have to go on the quest to like piece together information or get information from orcs.
The bulk of the game is orc politics. Like the bulk of the game is dealing with orc politics because like that's like it's open world. There's like a main plot. You can follow the main plot. It will take you into the orc camps. Like the plot is intrinsically linked to like what the orcs are doing. And I really like it because it kind of like humanizes the orcs, for want of a better word. And like there's this very complex system of like the orc army and like its rankings. Yeah, it's really like a bit of like a like what do they call it? Like a war king almost. Like it's like these leaders really like some of them are like really like mad with power and like some of them are like really low ranking, some of them are like way at the top. You can either like follow the main storyline to like go do these dealings with these orcs, or you can literally just like run into any orc camp and just start murdering people and take out their captain. And like what you do directly affects like the whole rest of the plot. You can at any time like pull up like what is up with the orcs right now. If you kill one of them, like you get more powerful. Like if they kill one of you, like they rise in the ranks.
Yeah.
Like, and by one of you, I mean
therein lies
both
the rub with this game, that when you die, when you are killed by an orc, there are consequences for that. I like the mechanics of this game, that it explains it explains the very typical video game mechanic that we're all familiar with, which is like dying and then coming back to life. And then it's like, well, this game has a reason behind that.
Like,
and it's because
undead.
He can't die. Yeah. And then dying has consequences. And because when you are killed, it makes the orc that killed you more powerful, and they like rise up in the ranks.
Dude, it's so different from me just splatting Link off a mountain until,
oh my god, yeah, you cannot do the endlessly throwing yourself at these enemies. I mean, you can, but it'll be painful and frustrating.
Depending on like where you are in the map and like how far the game has progressed, and like the one thing I really like about this game, and I totally get that some other people might not enjoy this, but I find the gameplay to be so easy. Like, I find that your main character, Talion, it can very easily overcome most orcs with just a couple strikes. The
difficulty is when, like, taking on one orc is fine. The difficulty is when like other orcs nearby hear what's happening or see what's happening, and they go and raise the alarm or something.
Yeah, if you're in one of their camps or something, like you start fighting one person, if you don't do it subtly enough, like there's so many options for stealth, but if you don't do it subtly enough, you're going to start getting hit by archers you don't even see. Like somebody's going to come around the corner that you don't see, and they're going to be like a heavy hitter.
A sound effect that plays when orcs like are suspicious, that they're like, it's like, oh, I see some movement over there, and they're like kind of like taking a closer look, and that sound effect now is like, it like strikes fear into your heart, because you're like, who's looking at me? Who's looking at me? Who sees me? Where do I need to hide? Where do I need to hide?
One time, a very smart person on the internet that I don't know who it is said something that has stuck with me for my entire life. They described anxiety as hearing the bad guy music, but never being able to see the bad guy.
That's great.
Isn't that so spot on?
Oh, I was going to bring up a Tears of Kingdom thing, but you haven't experienced it yet.
Well, you don't know, and also don't spoil people.
I know you haven't experienced it yet because you're still on the fucking tutorial island.
No, I got off of tutorial island, I said. I'm free now.
Oh, you got off? You're free.
I'm so free. Me and my glider
you.
Just free as hell.
So that's a problem that I had switching back and forth between this and really Zelda, is that I was like scaling along the walls as Talion, and then I'm like, okay, no, jump over there and glide. Oh, you don't have that.
Well, and
then
also,
reverse of that. Link, like, I'm
Yeah,
like,
he's
yeah,
not
you
as
can
good
just
at
walk on
climbing.
this rope.
No,
and then, like, he just,
Link refuses to, and Link always has refused to walk on ropes, and I find that very annoying of him.
It's annoying. It's like, he's an elf. He
Yeah,
looks like
he's
Legolas.
got it.
He should be able to do it.
I do want to ask you, Mary Clay, just because what kind of video games have you played? Like, do you feel like you've played a lot of video games, and like, what kind are they?
No, not really. Because I liked playing video games a lot when I was a kid. And then around the time that I started being a teenager, I guess, like, it got to a point where it was viewed as socially unacceptable for me, a girl, to still be interested in video games. Like, when I was a kid, it's like, oh, you can play video games because you're a little kid. But for whatever reason, there's like a big gap in, like, I would say, like, end of middle school and high school, where I wasn't really playing video games because aside from, like, stuff on my Game Boy, because I wasn't given them. And this isn't like a, I don't know, sad story.
It's
but
so
just
funny.
like,
I have the exact opposite story. So my video game history is that I'm the oldest, and I'm a girl. And I was raised as a girl, so I was never given video games. I had to wait for my brothers to get given video games.
I have an older brother, and I think that's the only reason that I played video games, is because I had an older brother, and we already had like, we had a Dreamcast.
See, I'm so jealous, and that's so cool. Like, we didn't have a Sega.
A Dreamcast was not a cool system.
It's cooler
was a
than
failure.
nothing. We didn't have like a Super Nintendo or an N64. Like, our first game system was the GameCube.
Yeah, so that's the thing. At some point, my brother got old enough that the only reason we had an Xbox was because my brother asked for an Xbox. I bet if I had asked for an Xbox, I wouldn't have been given it.
Yeah, I feel you.
So he was on, like, the Xbox game, and then, like, I wanted it because I was younger, and that's what was popular with my friends. I wanted the N64. We had the Super Nintendo, and both of my neighbors next door had an N64.
Wow.
So, like, it was
coveted.
I would, like, invite myself over and be like, let's play. And then I would, like, go up in their playroom and
they're like, we're just going to do something else. We're going to do our homework.
And I'm like,
and you're
great,
like, have
I'm
fun.
going to stay here and play this. I asked for a GameCube for so many Christmases in a row.
Oh my God.
And again, this isn't meant to be like a woe is me in my childhood. It's just like,
no,
I don't know.
Is.
There's just some
being
gifts
raised as a
and
girl,
things that you weren't given.
Being raised as a girl really does have small repercussions like this. I completely not to go too deep into it, but I completely blame the fact that I'm clumsy as an adult on the fact that my parents thought sports and video games were for boys. Both my brothers are so
I don't know about that,
physically
'cause
intelligent.
I did a lot of sports and sports related hobbies. It didn't help at all with my
the people who know me who are listening are probably like, okay, Christina. Yeah, you'd be
I don't think sports would have helped.
You'd be in the gymnastics if your dad had played catch with you.
I did get a Wii for my birthday at some point.
God, what a revolutionary, horrible system.
Oh my, like, it changed the game, and also, like, when I went back to play the Lego game on it recently, it was like, this is terrible.
It's so bad.
And I had, like, a lot of but, like, mostly like very basic video games geared towards, like, general audiences, a lot of Nintendo, a lot of Mario, Princess Peach stuff.
Yeah.
And then I graduated college and was still living at home, and I was working a very, like, low-paying part-time internship turned into job. And so I was just at a point where it was Black Friday weekend, and I was like, I want a Switch. I think the Switch had, like, recently come out, like, that year, maybe? Because I do remember this was when it came out, it was, like, impossible to get, you know? So it was not the first Christmas season that the Switch was out, but the one after that. And they were having Black Friday deals all over the place for a Switch. And I did the one at GameStop where you got a $50 gift card, which was like the majority of a game. And a lot of people recommended Breath of the Wild as, like, this is an excellent game for the Switch. So I got the Switch and I got Breath of the Wild,
and it changed
that just
your
got me
life.
Addicted, like, absolutely addicted. And I still do my cozy games and stuff. I still do my Stardew Valleys,
Animal Crossing, Cozy Grove.
Animal Crossing.
Next one
I haven't visited my island.
Next one I'm gonna
2020.
no, me neither. But the next one I'm gonna try, Alex recommended to me. It's called Bear and Breakfast.
That's cute.
So excited for that.
That's very cute. And then the Witcher series came out on Netflix, and then that finished, and the
what do you play
third
that on?
game was on. It was on sale on the Nintendo shop for
on the Switch, really?
Yeah. For I don't know. It was like 75% off or something one day. So I bought it. I had to buy a mega memory card just to download it. And then that became my next hyper fixation for a while. I love an open world game.
Yeah, for sure.
Love an open world game. To sum that up, I wouldn't say I'm a hardcore gamer. I have maybe one or two games that I'm very passionate about.
I get it, because then you get kind of confident in them and you feel like you understand the mechanics in the world, and it's just and when you make such a vast open world like Breath of the Wild, like you can just keep exploring for so long. So for me, like I said, I got my family got a GameCube when I was in high school. And
oh my god, you had a GameCube?
Yeah,
I'm gonna come over and play.
Do you remember in Drake and Josh, they had a Game Sphere?
Yes, it's spherical.
It's spherical.
What's a Game Sphere?
Only the most sophisticated gaming experience ever created by humans, and it's spherical. Spherical!
The very first video game I ever played was the GameCube Animal Crossings, and then my brothers showed me how to play. My first Zelda was Wind Waker, which is so cartoon. It's the most cartoonish one, I think. Like, it's so targeted toward like a younger audience than something like Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. And then from there, when I went away to college, like my friends had their N64, so I got to explore like the back catalog of Mario and the classic Nintendo games. And then eventually I started dating a dude with an Xbox 360, and I took a class I took a couple different classes because I was an English linguistics major. I took a lot of like interesting upper level.
Oh, I thought you meant like he got
classes.
An Xbox 360, so I decided to take an Xbox 360 class so I could learn how to play.
But I did get assigned to play, I think it's called Assassin's Creed Revolutionary, if I'm remembering correctly. It's the one set during the Revolutionary War. And I had never played like an adult quote unquote video game before, really, and I just loved it so much. Like, I love role-playing games, especially sort of like sci-fi fantasy ones. And then thanks to all my boyfriends who got trained in video games from when they were a young age, I've really been able to expand my breadth of games that I've played. And I say expand the breadth, but like they're all first-person shooter
the same,
or
like genre
or
and type.
RPG sci-fi fantasy games. I've come to really love like Borderlands, Fallout. Those first-person shooters are so fun. I've played like a lot of the Assassin's Creed games were really foundational for me. Like, that's kind of what I came to expect from a video game, and that's why Shadow of Mordor, when I started playing it, like really knocked my socks off, because I was like, I really feel like it's Assassin's Creed, but better. But I haven't played the last one or two the last one I played was Black Flag, so
I don't even know I know that Assassin's Creed is a video game, but like I don't have any knowledge. But
there's a lot of them. All of their like settings are different. They're like like pirates or like Revolutionary War, like Greek mythology, like whatever. But the core plot, I feel like, is always like the same.
Yeah. I think I would also say that like my lack of video game experience is also just due to the systems that I own. Like, I didn't have my last like major before the Switch, the last like major gaming console that I had was the Wii.
Yeah, I think like
because my brother took the. Sorry, go ahead.
I think that most people who play like a lot of different games, like my household, they will have like the Switch, either a PlayStation or an Xbox. It's like you have to pick a side. It's like Apple or Android. And then like my husband does PC gaming, which I choose not to do because all of my day work, my podcasting work, and my wildling work is all on the computer. I'm like not trying to still be at a computer when I'm gaming, you know? Yeah,
that's a good policy to have. Yeah, we've been an Apple family since I was a wee lad. Mm-hmm. So like we had a clunker of like one of the first Macintosh like desktop computers.
Nice.
And unfortunately, that means like a lot of games are not available on the Mac, or they're more expensive for the Mac. So
really,
a lot
that
of times,
sucks.
yeah. So, or it would just be my dad like he would be unsure about like installing something on the Mac, being I maybe being like, is this going to blow the computer up? Is this going to install like a
Oh my god, the
malware thing?
This was the pre-computer confidence era.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I mean. Yeah. Of just being like, what, like, I don't want to mess this thing up.
I've only played 2 PC games in my whole life. One of them was Sims 4.
Yes.
The other one was To the Moon, which I would love to speak about. If any of you have played To the Moon, please DM me immediately at Christina Kann _ Like
Is this like an old?
No, it's like, it's designed to look like an old, like, 8-bit game, but it's, like, more contemporary than that, and it's such a beautiful story of love.
Oh, it's a 10 out of 10 on Steam.
I know! And, my brother and I loved it so much that we wrote the screenplay, and then as soon as we finished the screenplay of it, we saw that the movie was in development, and we were like, God damn it! And then we haven't heard anything since. Anyway, To the Moon, play that game. It's like a story game. It's not like a game game. It's a story game.
Yeah, so I would say that, like, if and I think it will be my next like big purchase. And I know that getting a PS4 will allow me to, it'll just allow me to enjoy the games that I like a lot more, I don't know, thoroughly, like especially the Witcher universe and stuff. Like,
so the Shadow of Mordor that you've been playing on the PS3, is that the PS4 version that also works on the PS3?
Yes, like it was released on, I think this was released like right when PS4 was being released or was released. So they probably released it for both systems to sell more. And then I believe Shadow of War is only available on the PS4. Like, it's not on the PS3.
I gotcha.
So if I want to play Shadow of War, I'll have to get a PS4 at some point.
Honestly, I mean it when I say that, like, it's the exact same game, but like with italics on. Like, it's like, I really liked that and I want to do it again and have it feel fresh. Okay, here's the next game.
That's exactly what Zelda is.
Yeah, Tears of the Kingdom. I'm actually really relieved. I'm like, I love this aesthetic. I enjoyed it so much with Breath of the Wild. Like, I actually did want more of the same, you know?
Yeah, they took something that they did a really great job on that people universally loved, and then they added onto it and built around it even more.
I think people just weren't expecting that because if I remember correctly, like, I don't think any 2 consecutive Zelda games have had the same art style. Like, even I'm thinking about like the 2 ones that were on the GameCube, Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. I played those both on the GameCube and their art style is not the same. Yeah.
So how do you feel about the legendary sword broken and that has to be restored?
Are you talking about in Shadow of Mordor, I assume, or are you talking about Tears of the Kingdom?
Oh, I was talking about Narsil.
I'm so sick of these swords.
Legendary swords
just get
breaking.
A new sword. Like, if it broke, just throw it away. Like, get a new sword.
No, this one, the handle is magical. We gotta hang on to the handle. It's like your baby blanket that
can't relate.
As a 30-year-old,
Cannot
you have
relate to this
3
sentence.
strands of left.
No, that ain't me.
I have spent the majority of the game just doing, like side quests.
Yeah, they're so fun. You can pick up any kind of side quest anytime.
Yeah, on the map there will also be like there will be icons, like artifacts and like all this stuff that like you have to go and pick up. Again, these like clues that will tell like pieces of the past and help like really fill out the world.
So one thing that I don't know, and I would like to ask a video game developer this, and I can actually ask my brother because he develops video games for funsies. The Zelda games, Shadow of Mordor, also Assassin's Creed. Those are like 3 examples. I'm sure there's other games that employ this exact same method of like, you discover your map by like walking into a new section of it as yet unexplored, climbing a very tall tower. And I still to this day say synchronizing because that's what Assassin's Creed calls it. In Zelda, it's like you like activate the tower thing.
Sheikah Slate, yeah.
And then in Shadow of Mordor, you have to like anvil your sledgehammer.
You have
whatever.
to be the wraith, and you have to because they're forges, which makes sense with Celebrimbor's background.
But it doesn't make sense with the fact that it looks like a guard tower with nothing in it.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's like
You're so right though that
like
it's a very common mechanic.
Yeah, I wonder if that's a mechanism that like makes it easier to develop video games, or if it's like really for the user because that's like the best way to explore a map. If I just like gravitate toward games where you get to explore open worlds like this, like I would love to know more about that. Should we phone a friend and call my brother? Just kidding. That would sound awful, but
a few things about like, I don't know. I'll say these are the negatives for my video gaming experience with this game so far. I would say a lot of these are just me things. It's not necessarily like a fault of the game, but I am not a PlayStation girly. I grew up playing the Xbox and then Wii and then like Game Boy stuff. So, but the PlayStation controller is really one that I don't know. So
yeah.
Freaking X square triangle plus whatever. I don't even think I can name all the buttons.
Oh,
so
you forgot
like,
circle. You said
circle.
X and plus.
It'll be like press X and then I'll press the square and it'll go back.
So
and then
she doesn't like that for Shadow of Mordor because when you're dying, you get one last shot that relies on you pressing the right button.
Too.
So that just means she keeps dying when she has a second chance. So it's grumping
I mean,
her
that's
out.
related to it, but it's just like a frustration thing of like I'm in combat and it says like for a stealth kill, press these buttons, and then I press the completely wrong buttons. And again, that's a me thing.
Yeah, we call that
my muscle memory just isn't there for this controller.
We call that an ID10T error.
Identity error?
ID10T. If you write it down here.
Boo!
Did you get it?
You're so mean.
I learned that one from Michael Hardison.
But you're not wrong.
It's a nice way of
so
saying
that is like a difficulty
error.
for me. Again, I bought this game used. I bought it
PlayStation 3,
for a PS3.
like,
so like that's already
all the odds. None of the odds are in your favor.
I don't know if it's like this for you, but the load screens kill me every time you go to check the map or every time you go to check the menu to like look at your weapons or like add a rune to something. A load screen.
I think that's because you're playing it on the PlayStation 3. Because
yeah,
I don't have that.
Most likely.
Now,
but
I'll admit that like the loading screen between phases of the game can take a long time.
Rough.
But
especially when you have Zelda.
But it's
a
compare it to that's
so
game.
fast.
It's a 10-year-old game.
Exactly.
And,
that's what I mean. Yeah.
And like I said, for me, it's really only between like phases of the game where I'm really like going somewhere new or like waiting on something important. Like, oh, something else that I love on the PlayStation 4 that I don't think you probably had on the PlayStation 3. Tell me if I'm wrong. My controller like whispers to me in Wraith voices.
My controller doesn't do that. What, the sound is coming from the controller?
It's a PlayStation 4 function that like a lot of games use, or maybe like I didn't have it activated for a lot of games, but like when there's Wraith things happening, my controller is like and like Wraith voice.
Gross.
I think it's cool. I love the Wraith elements. Like, I think it's so cool. I want to describe to you like the mechanics of how this is. It feels like, I don't know, man. It just feels like very like homoerotic to me, the way that these two boys go tromping about in one body. And like they're fighting. Like the one is stronger because of the other. Sometimes like the Wraith guy, who I know is Celebrimbor, but I call him like the Wraith guy. He like comes out of the body a little bit. I find it, I'm sorry, like extremely sexy the way that this Wraith conducts himself. Like,
that's so funny.
I love,
because I don't think I've necessarily viewed it like that at all.
One thing, it's like a power fantasy for me, because like one thing you can do, use your Wraith powers to like sort of like brainwash orcs to get them like on your team. And like,
yeah, or you can like go into their mind and get intel, on the captains, and it'll tell you their strengths and their weaknesses, which if I was a better gamer, I would find that very helpful.
It is,
but in
very
the moment
helpful,
when I'm being attacked by a captain, my response is I'm going to beat them up with all these buttons, not I'm going to open the menu and look up the strengths. I have
to stop you and tell you that when you make eye contact with a captain, the game stops. The game is like, whoa, wait a second.
It's terrifying.
Listen, it's like you're meeting a captain, and then you have no choice but to view in this moment because it shows you their strengths and weaknesses.
But it doesn't pause there. It immediately goes into the combat.
That's not, maybe, I don't know. It's long enough to look at, dude.
It's not, it takes me a while to process and be like, oh, okay, so stealth isn't going to work with him, but he's afraid of bugs.
Okay, that I
so
can
let me
relate
go
to.
find a fly nest and I'm just going to go and attack him.
What I was getting to is that Keller Brimbor does this thing where he's sucking the brain energy out of an orc, where he grabs them, he grabs him by the face or the throat, and he says, "Suffer me now." And my voice is really high pitched. It's so much better when he does it. You should put a clip in.
Suffer me now!
Whenever he does that, I'm like, I'm a god. Like, I love it.
It is very cool.
I think
also, you
the
can.
race stuff is so cool.
This is also probably another common mechanic, but when you like draw your bow and arrow, you slow down time.
Oh my God,
just
it's
a bit so that
impossible
you can line up your
otherwise.
shot.
Okay, so listen. Listen. I texted my brother. I texted my brother Ryan. I said, do you know why so many video games have synchronize, etc. up on a tower to help you explore the map? Or is it maybe just a good way to explore? He said, someone's been playing Tears of the Kingdom. Little does he know that that's not even what we're talking about right now.
What we're talking about, yeah.
Except it is. He says, TLDR, one game did it like Uncharted or something with radio towers, and game designers realized it was a really good way to guide the player in an open world game. It gives them a clear goal in every area, a clear first goal in every area, helping them to not feel overwhelmed. So basically, it's a good game mechanic that someone invented that people are running with now. But if you know of another like nice, fun sci-fi fantasy like open world game that doesn't use that mechanic, I would love to hear that recommendation just so I can explore something else.
I would say the only other one, by comparison, the Witcher game, you have the map already open, which makes sense for the character because Geralt and the Witchers are already familiar with the country and the land, so they would know like what places are. But on the map, there are points of interest that are, you open up a new area and they're all question marks. And you have to go to that place and discover what it is.
Yeah.
Is it a bandit camp? Is it a like kidnapped person? Is it a town? Is it a monster nest? And I liked that because it's
like something's here.
It like tickles that thing in your brain of like, ooh, let me go uncover everything on the, like, oh, well, I just uncovered this question mark. So, and there's another one 10 feet from here. Let me go to that one.
Yeah.
Oh, there's another one 50 feet from here. Let me go to that one.
I'm trying
and
to
before
remember.
you know it, it's like 2 hours later.
This is not, I think a first-person shooter is a type of RPG because it just means role-playing game. But honestly, like, the lingo of video games does make me feel like more of an idiot, I think, than I am about them just because I can't retain it. But anyway.
I was going to say, I feel like a lot of times it's meant to make things sound more complex or fancy or something. Or like, it's very like gatekeepy.
I totally agree.
Like, MMO, RPG.
That's so many words to say without the acronym, but like
I know,
it
just
does
makes
just
sense.
make people feel like it's harder to get into. But anyway, I'm looking at the Fallout 4 map, and I actually don't really remember how I explored this map. This is the only other video game that I've spent like anywhere near as much time in is like the Fallout. I don't remember how you explore this map. I think it's just like you get close to something and your little map doodly is like, what's that over there? And you got to be like, oh, what's that over there?
Great
it's
job.
a good mechanic.
It is a good mechanic.
I've been in a horrific video game rut for like a couple years. I'm not trying to be dramatic when I say that. Like Shadow of War and Breath of the Wild were like the two big games that I've played in the past like several years.
I would say that's exactly how it is for me, but with The Witcher instead.
And like I used to play a ton of video games, and my New Year's resolution for the past 2 years has been to play more video games.
More video games.
I tried The Witcher 3 and I actually just can't, like it's just not doing it for me. But I would love to hear like any game recommendations from people. I keep being like, this is my podcast, email me. But like I would love to hear game recommendations that are like similar to what we've been talking about, but maybe like not The Witcher 3. just because I'm trying to get out of my video game slump. That's why when Sean was like, which one of us gets to play Zelda first? I was like, me. Sean is just now playing Breath of the Wild on his PC. Like, no, you don't also get to play Tears of the Kingdom. I will literally fight you.
Yeah, you have to figure out how to use freaking magnesis first before you can use the ultra hand.
You need to magnesis before you can ultra
Can we
hand.
talk about the fact? Can we talk about the fact that they have a tool that they named Ultra Hand?
That's so stupid.
And the only thing I can think of, like, it just comes to mind every single time, is from Jimmy Neutron, Ultra Lord.
Oh my god, yes.
Oh, what else was I going to say about this game? I really love and appreciate how this man, going back to Talion and Shadow of Mordor, he just jumps all over the place, and he can be hanging on a ledge.
He'll do
forever.
anything. And there's what's that effect called? I was talking about this with someone else. There's a name for the effect of when you play a game like Assassin's Creed, like Shadow of Mordor, too much, and you go out into the world and you have the instinct to like vault over a low shoulder. You know what I mean? It's like I will scale your building. Oh wait, I'm 215 pounds of pure chub. Like I don't
again,
got that.
that's what I was experiencing when I switched to playing Zelda. Is I kept thinking he can just do these things that Talion was just doing.
I keep flinging myself at walls too, and like Talion's like got it by like his fingertips, and like it's just like ragdolling down a mountain.
By contrast, it's just so funny. It makes me laugh so much. He makes so much noise. He climbs like man, not like little Link. Like man grunts.
Yes.
And there are orcs on the other side, and they'll be like, did you hear that? And maybe it's just the wind.
It's so funny.
And then you dump down into a stealth kill, and he makes the most noise any person has ever made in their life.
It ends with the little wraith whisper. It's like sink, and then it's like so you know it was like stealth because your little wraith is like it's good.
Shh, go to sleep.
Okay, so the stealth mechanics in Shadow of Mordor are far superior to Assassin's Creed up until Black Flag, which, as a reminder, is the last one I played. The stealth mechanics are so fun. You can really sneak up behind these orcs and murder them. Death from above, death from below.
You'll be hiding in a bush.
Side. Yeah,
and you can call them over.
You're like, boys.
And then they'll be like, "What's this?" And then my favorite thing is luring orcs over to a bush that I'm hiding in. I drag them under and stab them, and then another orc is like, "Oh, where'd you go?" It's like, shh, just come to this bush. I'm gonna murder you here.
Like, I'm just running around this world, like, stealth murdering someone. I take 2 steps in a different direction. I hear, huh? This orc is dead! And then I'm like, no. And I just, like, keep running, and then it's, like, already behind me.
Just recent, like, just before we jumped on, I killed an orc with an arrow, and then, like, the nearby guy was, like, going to investigate, but because I wasn't nearby, he brushed it off, but he goes, huh, must be the wind. And I'm like, there's an arrow in this guy's head.
One of the things I really love about these games is that if you just walk around listening to the orcs, they're being very funny. Like, they're being people, they're having interactions, and they're very funny. The things they say are, like, hilarious to me. Being like, there's a dead body here, let's investigate. Huh, must be the wind. Like,
must be the wind.
Like, I guess he's gone now. You can hear them talking about you on all sides, and you're just so much better than them.
Just speaking of, like, hearing, like, what they're saying and, like, going on around you and stuff. Again, this could be, like, a PS3 thing, but one of the issues, it's not necessarily a gameplay issue, it's just, like, uncomfortable and stressful, is that the in-world sounds aren't accurate. So, like, I'll be, like, standing around, and then all of a sudden I'll hear a conversation between 2 orcs, and it sounds like they are right next to me, and there's literally no one around.
Dude, that's your system.
So, or like, all of a sudden the music isn't really matching up. Like, it'll go into, like, panic mode battle music, and I'm like, what's happening? Nothing is happening.
That's
Nothing is
totally
happening.
Your system. That kind of reminds me of like, do you ever watch a movie from like the 70s and you're like, the way they rendered the sound on this is weird, and it's just because they didn't know how to do sound back then.
Yeah. So
that's definitely
again,
your system, because I don't have that problem.
System thing, yeah.
It really is like a better version of the classic Assassin's Creed model. Like there's so many things that these games like definitely lifted directly from Assassin's Creed, like the synchronizing on towers, like straight up. Like you can jump from tall places into bushes or into like wagons and be completely hidden. No one saw you. Like that's totally Assassin's Creed. The running directly up any sheer building phase.
You can be in a bush and you can literally see the top of your head sticking out, and they'll be like, nope. No one's here.
Yeah, it's just good, clean video game fun. And by clean, I mean horrific. There's a lot of murder. You can brutalize people to death,
yes.
you know. You can ride Caragors, like...
That's part of the, like, traits and stuff and, like, skills that you can pick up in these runes is you can enact terror on the orcs, and like there are certain runes that if you have on your sword, it's like affect 20% more terror in surrounding orcs when their captain is killed.
That's the thing. You can like freak them out by killing their leader. So it's so fun. Like there's this super strong, like literally like there will be this very strong captain. You pull up their stats. You know exactly what is going to take them out in one shot. I
should say, if you're not me,
you're 3
you do these
floors
things.
above them. You fucking target them from the tower. You kill them from death from above. They have absolutely no idea you're in the same country as them, let alone directly on top of them. All of their orcs scatter to the winds, and it's just so supremely satisfying. And then when you kill a captain, you collect a rune, so you can terrorize them even stronger next time.
Continuing on this topic of terror, and I think this is what I'll use to wrap up. I'm sure you're like, what is she on about?
Tower of Terror.
So this is what I'll use to kind of wrap up and close out the conversation, which is that I don't think this is a game that I'm super into.
Oh my god, play it on the right system. Play it on the right system.
No, it's not. It doesn't have anything to do with the system.
I think it does, because that's your whole experience.
No, because listen to what I'm going to say, which is that I don't really care about orc politics. I don't really care about humanizing them.
I don't care about orc politics. That's not something
like,
that I'm...
It's kind of like, I think it's interesting and funny to hear a little bit about, but I don't have any desire to deep dive into it.
I think it's a really good way of exploring Middle Earth without touching any of the original material, really, that makes people feel like Rings of Power touched everything from the original trilogy, and that's why a lot of people freaking hate it. But I feel like Shadow of Mordor is like, okay, we're just gonna hang out here in Mordor.
Over in this place that
you were just gonna we're not touching any of this.
Know too much about.
The most that it connects to the original trilogy is that like Gollum is there, and let me tell you, that's the most annoying part of the main plot is following Gollum
I did not
around.
care for that. Yeah, one of the first main quest things that you have to do is you have to track Gollum because he's been following you around, and I'm like, I don't care. I don't want Gollum to be involved.
Yeah,
Gollum I don't like it. So just kind of first off, I don't necessarily care about just the general premise of being in Mordor and following up on orc politics. The other thing is just that it is deeply unsettling and stressful, and that's not what I enjoy. That's not I'm not finding enjoyment from that.
What do you mean it's unsettling and stressful? How so?
There's orcs screaming all the time. There's beasts screaming and chasing after you. There's this intense loud music that will flare up at the drop of a hat.
It's so funny because I feel like all of those traits are shared with Tears of the Kingdom. I feel like it's an open world where sometimes you just wander into something that's way over your head, and the music tells you what's about to happen.
But even the fight music in Zelda is lighthearted.
Interesting.
Aside from maybe the Guardian theme. And I'll just say this, the gloom. You will know what I talk about when you encounter it, and listeners who have encountered it will know.
I've encountered it.
You've encountered the gloom?
Well, kind of.
Like the monster?
Oh, no.
Yeah. See? You would have a visceral reaction. Anyway,
I just think that maybe it's because you're like hardwired as a Nintendo girly that like this, because like is The Witcher not similar?
Really,
like,
because I really enjoyed The Witcher. That was like a universe that I was really invested in exploring, and I'm just not invested in exploring this world.
I want to know if anyone listening is equally excited and passionate about The Witcher and Shadow of Mordor, because obviously Mary Clay and I'm like I don't like this game because of this game, and you're kind of like I don't like this game because of this game, or like
no, I'm telling you, it's not because I like The Witcher more. I just don't think I enjoy playing this story.
So I just want to hear from people who I have cited listener emails 100 times in this episode. It's not my podcast. DM me at Christina Kann on Instagram. Tell me if you equally love both those games, because I want to hear.
I will leave contact information for everyone to answer Christina's burning questions that she has. Like, there are people out there who have these specific answers. Yeah. And like know all of this, have this knowledge.
Yeah, that's wild.
And can answer it. Okay, but finally, and again, this isn't me saying that I enjoyed aspects of the game, but I think right now with Zelda.
Yeah, I mean,
I
obviously.
will be switching my full energy to that. And maybe later on, down the line, I can definitely see myself continuing to play this game. But the main thing is that it leaves it unsettled is just all I can say. It just leaves me unsettled. It leaves me stressed even when I finish playing it, because as evidenced by a few nights ago, I woke up in the middle of the night and one of the hats that's hanging on my wall, I thought it was an orc. And I jumped out of bed and screamed and punched the shadows.
Okay, so that's that word that I couldn't think of earlier for when you play a video game too much, that it gets stuck in your brain a little bit.
So I have kind of like scared myself by playing this game and been like, okay, maybe I can't play this at night.
Wow.
Which eliminates Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
Because then I can't play it after work,
Interesting. I've definitely played games that have freaked me out before, but it's almost always zombies in video games that make me truly unsettled, like at night when I'm done with it. The Last of Us ruined my like nervous system. # worth it.
That's another video game feature that's in a lot of stuff, is the like super hearing, where you press a button and you can see like the shadows of like the figures nearby. And that's in The Last of Us, where Joel has like his super. Oh, another thing. Talion is voiced by what's his name? Troy something. Is voiced by the same person who did
Joel.
Joel.
Oh,
yeah.
interesting.
Troy Baker.
Good
That's
for
it.
him.
Yeah. Voiced by anyway, but yeah, there's this like it's in The Witcher too, but like The Witcher, that one makes sense because it's his Witcher senses.
Yeah.
Like he has superior hearing.
It makes sense in Shadow of Mordor too, because it's like the Wraith guy.
Yeah, so yeah, you go into
Joel
like Wraith
has
mode
no
and you can
business.
see the people around you, so that like you can know whether it's safe or not to sneak around a wall. The one Joel's super hearing makes no sense.
Wait, have you
It's like,
played The Last
he's a
of Us?
regular human. I haven't personally played it, but I have. I watched a bunch of like playthroughs
Like,
and stuff in college.
if you can do The Last of Us for a long time and not have nightmares, like The Last of Us is so much scarier than Shadow of Mordor.
Oh, it's very scary. That's why I haven't personally played it.
The only other video game that I've got other than Luigi's Mansion that's like really spooked me is Thief, because I was playing this like very fun medieval fantasy game about being a thief, a la Assassin's Creed, a la Shadow of Mordor, like all same. And then there's just suddenly zombies, and I was like, oh my god, what?
Suddenly zombies.
Yeah, exactly. So that was
Standing
disarming.
beside me.
What's that from?
I mean, I will say I got jump scared playing the Lego game, because at one point I walked into a corner that like that character wasn't meant to be in, and the Eye of Sauron jumped out.
Oh my god. You honestly, I spooked myself with my own reflection the other day, so like we're all just little sacks of nervous systems just waiting to be spooked.
Literally, I'll be playing Zelda. It happens mostly when I'm in the desert or when I'm in the like tundra. but I'll see something in the distance and I'm like, are you a ghoul? Is that a ghoul? And then I'll zoom in on it with my like camera thing and I'm like, that's a bush. So
bushes can be scary. Sometimes Talion is waiting in those bushes to murder you.
Yeah. But I think that's also kind of like a testament that this is also a very like the visual element of the game is especially for 2014.
Yeah, it was stunning.
I think is really great.
It was the
like
craziest
I think
thing
it looks
I'd ever
pretty
seen
good.
at the time.
Yeah, like it looks really good. Again, probably, I would say like the only reason I would say it hasn't aged well is just because I'm playing on an old system.
Yeah, the PS3 hasn't aged well. The PS4 also
the
kind of
PS3
is
hasn't
getting,
aged well.
the PS4 is getting up there, but
yeah,
still serves me good.
But I am glad that I like started this game, that I ventured into it, that I got to see like what this plot is about, because I've heard so many amazing things about and this is just, believe it or not, there's more to the Tolkien verse of video games than Lego and Shadow of Mordor.
Yeah, my old boyfriend used to play this game that I've never had the opportunity to play, and I don't even know what it was called, but he described it to me as like literally the Fellowship of the Ring, but like slightly off-brand, and they're like trying to catch up for the whole game. They're trying to catch up with the Fellowship to like give them back up.
Oh, that's so
and they
great.
keep like showing up and being like, damn, I guess they flooded Isengard? Like, I have no idea what is happening here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'd love to play whatever that game is.
That's the kind of style of video game that I would want to play in the Middle-earth universe, or I would want to also like just give us freaking like Animal Crossing but in the Shire, you know? Like, well, that would be
I really glomped on to that, like us, like the hero trying to catch up with the actual hero, because I always thought it would be very funny to, instead of the hero of time, Link in Legend of Zelda, to have the hero of not quite on time. Who's like always trying he's always trying to catch up to Link. That's
literally me all the time. I saw a joke that was like, he's the champion of courage, not of wisdom.
Oh my god, Harry Potter.
That too. Yeah, Harry as well. A lot of our heroes are dumb as rocks. Yeah, so I've heard really great things. I'm glad that I decided to like delve into more of it, because it's something that I've always been intrigued by, and it seems like there's so much content just with the video games. I think there's also Lord of the Rings Online, which I think is just like Elder Scrolls, but Lord of the Rings. Mm-hmm. That's something that one day when I have time, I'll like maybe go into and explore just like by myself, not necessarily for the podcast. And then also there's going to be a new game coming out this year. Unfortunately, it's about Gollum, so I'm like not excited about that.
Dude, I would love for Gollum to not be in even one thing.
I think they were like, you know what we can do so well? Gollum.
Ugh, I'm sick
like,
of it.
we nailed that design. Let's use it over and over again.
He's like extra annoying in Shadow of Mordor because he's not produced as well as the movie, obviously, and you have to follow him, which following is the worst kind of video game task. It's so annoying.
Hate it. I would say slightly better than having to protect someone.
At least
someone is nearby and they can't get harmed.
That can be really annoying, but at least you have a task, you know? Protect.
No,
protect.
I don't know what you mean by at least you have a task.
Like protect. You're like usually fighting people, like just following someone. It's like, at least Talion sometimes,
I see what you mean.
Sometimes like automatically walks and I'm like, good, I'm smoking a bowl. Like I'm not doing this.
Yeah, that's what happened earlier. Okay, it's called Lord of the Rings Gollum.
Stupid.
I think the reason they keep using launches in May. Oh, okay. Launching May 25th, 2023 for PlayStation, Xbox, and PC.
Is this coming out a week from today?
This is actually a very well-timed episode.
Yeah, is this episode coming out on the 23rd?
Probably.
So it comes out in a mere 2 days.
It's either coming out in a few days or it just came out.
Yeah.
And it will be I did see something that it will come out on the Switch, but later this year.
Okay.
Oh, what I was going to say is that I think the reason they keep putting Gollum in these video games is because he's a familiar character. So like you're playing as this random person, then it's like, oh, hey, I'm familiar with like, this is our
I
connection
hate it.
to
Horrible
the main story, but also Gollum is someone that like he can be a side character. He's never going to be your main character, except for in this video game called Lord of the Rings Gollum.
What if he is our hero in this game?
He's lived a very long span of time, so you can drop him in at any point in the like timeline. I just really wish it was more like your Aragorn in his like ranger days.
Yeah.
Maybe you're Arathorn or something, and you're walking around Middle Earth, and then you have to climb up Orthanc and activate a map. You have to use the broken like shard of Narsil to activate the map on top of Orthanc, and there's so many towers in Middle Earth, and not one of them is going to activate a map. Are you kidding me? This stuff writes itself. Or like I said, just give me like a nice, soft, cozy game in the Shire.
Yeah.
Either of those things.
Dude, like an Animal Crossing, but the Shire, yes.
Yeah.
With the Harfoots.
I think that would do so well.
Yeah.
I think, I just really feel like with the video games that they're zoning in on like the wrong things. And maybe that has to do with like depending on what they have rights to, because I was just thinking like, why not do something about the Silmarillion? But they don't have I think the Tolkien estate is very strict about rights with the Silmarillion and other stuff. So other Lord of the Rings video game news, this is just a headline, and this is all very speculative at this point.
You're spreading rumors.
Massive new Lord of the Rings video game in the works at Amazon. It just says Amazon Games is taking another shot at Middle Earth.
What was the first
Apparently, like a while ago or several years ago. Oh, in 2019, it set plans for a massively multiplayer online game, MMO.
Right.
Those acronyms that were like, it makes things easier to say. But Amazon abandoned the project later on because it looks like some people failed to come to terms with
those terms. They can be
a
really
deal
hard to
for the
come
game. So that would be I mean, obviously it depends on like what it would be about, but like I'm excited to see that like Lord of the Rings and Middle Earth is such a like wealth of content for video games, and that like it's being utilized, you know.
Totally.
So, Christina, thank you for coming on and talking about Shadow of Mordor.
Thanks for
I'm
inviting
sorry
me.
that I didn't be like, this is my new favorite game ever.
Dude, I don't care.
It's just maybe a little bit too scary for me.
You know that like my career and my side career and my favorite passion is reading books. Do you know how many people in this world literally don't like to read books? Like, I'm good. Like, I'm fine. I do encourage you to play it on a PlayStation 4 though, just to check out an alternative experience.
It is like in my future goals to get a PS4.
Nice.
The only problem is that it might only be when the PS6 comes out.
I get it.
Or, you know, but I feel like people are still having problems getting a PS5.
Yeah, I kind of gave up, not even Sean's birthday a month ago, but Sean's birthday like 13 months ago. I was like, I give up.
Yeah, isn't that like still
I don't know.
an issue?
I don't know.
That people are having trouble finding. So like otherwise I would be like, yeah, I'll go get a PlayStation 5. It's been, 5 years since it came out. Oh no, it's been 3 years.
Still.
Holy cow, that launched November of 2020.
That was
no wonder
the right kind of timing.
That blew up.
Yeah.
Because everyone was like, we're trapped inside, give us this new console.
Same thing with Animal Crossing.
Do you think the PS5 would have been as bonkers if it hadn't been launched during a pandemic?
Maybe not quite as bonkers, but I think still as bonkers because like I said, like people are either like Xbox people or PlayStation people, and like I don't feel like I need the latest gaming system, but a lot of people do. Like people like Sean are like, we need it because people are talking about it, and I am envious,
Yeah, that's exactly why I'm fine finding a PS4 used,
Yeah, it'll serve you good. Especially since you have a PS3 to compare it to.
I know.
Anyway, yeah, thanks for inviting me on. I love this game a lot. And if you're thinking about trying it, just try it because it's a lot of fun.
And again, like I said, it's $5 right now on the online PlayStation store.
Oh my God, why don't you just try not getting one of those daily lattes? I know all of you millennials are drinking out there, and then you can afford Shadow of Mordor.
You know what you can buy for $5? You can buy Shadow of Mordor, or you can buy 15% of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Christina, where can people find you on the internet, and where can they send you listener messages?
All of the responses that I've solicited during this episode, please hit me up on Instagram at ChristinaKann_. Link this in the show notes. Nobody knows how to spell my name. Listen to my podcast, How Do I Book, with my business, Wildling Press. We're an independent book publisher, so if you're thinking about publishing a book or you need guidance, please reach out to me, Christina at wildlingpress.com. And if you want to, listen to the restricted section. But honestly, all of the other podcasts on Deus Ex Media are so much cooler. We got an Avatar podcast, we got a Steven Universe podcast, we got a Percy Jackson podcast. All three much more valuable fandoms than the work that I am doing in the Harry Potter fandom. So please check out any and all of our Deus Ex Media podcasts.
That's What I'm Talking About's cover art is by Vaishon Brandon. You can support him on Instagram at Vaishon Designs. You can get merch for That's What I'm Talking About by going to tpublic.com/user/talkingaboutpod. You can follow the podcast on social media at talkingaboutpod. And you can follow me on Twitter and TikTok at MCWattsUp and on Instagram at MCTurndownForWatt. If you want to support the podcast, you can become a patron. Go to patreon.com/talkingaboutpod to explore the different levels of support that are available. Although I appreciate any level that you want to join, I always have to show some extra love for this week's sponsor, Josh. Josh, thank you so much for your continued support of the podcast. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you. Do you have any parting words for the audience?
Suffer me now!
And that's what I'm talking about.